welcome to the Dharma Journey podcast, Duco.
Thank you very much, Baya. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I met Duco a couple of, I would say, weeks or months ago and in Bali, and he just moved from the Netherlands, I think, or was it Portugal?
It was kind of from Portugal, yes. And I made a little pit stop in between to the Netherlands, and that's where I flew from to here, to Bali.
Yeah, our doggies were playing, and yeah, I when I met you, I was like, oh my God, it feels like it feels like you're the boy version of me. I felt like your energy is very similar, and yeah, I felt gravitated towards you, and I was like hearing your story about the nomad life and building your business in a van and living in Portugal and kind of just that whole transition really inspires me, and I think many people listening as well because the way that you are so passionate about the work that you do, which we're going to get into a bit about Klangen water and about the nomad life. So any people listening that want to kind of come to Bali and experience, what we're experiencing right now, it's definitely a little bit of an entry point and yeah, a position that we can follow our passion through doing something like online businesses like Klangen Water, and I think you do a couple of other things, which we're going to get into. So yeah, first off, I'd love to know what is a day in the Duco diary look like for you as a nomad living in Bali, the Bali bum life?
Oh, yes. I love that question. That's a really good one. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. Every single day is different, and that's why I love it. So I do have some routines that I have. For example, my morning routine, which I absolutely love and really honor. But honestly, I'm very intuitive and every day is just different. And that's what makes it just so much fun. So, how does it look like? So, usually I wake up pretty early, like around 6:30, but never with an alarm. I just wake up. And usually that's because, you can hear some roosters or you hear the chanting of the temples and just the morning light. And I feel like that is such a beautiful moment to wake up to. And once I'm awake, I cannot snooze. So usually I start with my morning routine. And how does that look like? So I usually just sip at least a liter of water. I put some lemon essential oil in there, a few drips of that, got some 9.5 of the common water, drink on that, and once I did that, I usually get into my meditation straight away,
Mm.
which is something I absolutely love. I can definitely feel a difference if I don't do it. Because I think meditation really helps to clear my mind. And in the morning, I'm always very foggy. So that's what I get into. And after that, I get my journal, throw out my thoughts, and then I set an intention for the day. And then I usually prepare a little to do list, kind of feel into like, hey, what's on the cards for today? And that's where I go from. And honestly, every day is different. So usually with my Enagic common water business, I have certain routines, like for example, promotion through Instagram, running ads, or I am talking to people, connecting to people, which is amazing. A lot of fun because I get to connect with people from all over the world and get to know people. And you know, other mornings I just do my routine and get into the water and go for a surf. And that is what makes it very diverse, that my life is very much built around surfing because that is definitely my biggest passion. And I kind of always like make my schedule according to the surf. So let's say if the surf is really, really good early in the morning, I try to do a quick routine, just a quick meditation, 10 minutes, and then just get in the water, surf. come back for brekkie, and then I start working. But it can also be the routine that I just explained, and then just go for a surf after work, um, which is a lot of fun. And some days it's raining all day, like you know it, and then I don't feel like surfing, and then I enjoy working more because I honestly feel I don't have any FOMO. So,
And
so
how
it's very diverse.
yeah, how it's I think it's that's the kind of the key that I wanted to explain to people listening. Like the Bali lifestyle is quite different to many people's 9 to 5, you know. And I think for anyone listening, a lot of the listeners have been to Bali, they've experienced kind of the lifestyle here. What was your, you know, routine, and what was your kind of schedule like when you were maybe back in Amsterdam, and then transitioning to like wanting to break free from that kind of like 9 to 5 hustle, and go on your adventure in the van, and maybe you can share a little bit about how that started, and then how, like, you know, this journey began, your Dharma journey, just for people who, yeah, who want to break free from the 9 to 5 hustle, and explore and stay curious to different kinds of opportunities out there.
Absolutely, very good question. So, um, actually, just like from a very young age, I transitioned into a lifestyle that was already different from what I was doing before. So, if we can just go all the way back to me, 18 years old, leaving high school,
Mm.
um, that's where I made my first transition into traveling. And my very first trip was amazing. I jumped on a sailing boat, and I was part of a crew, and we sailed from Tenerife, Canary Islands, all the way to the Caribbean in
Wow.
18 days. And that was absolutely amazing and such an incredible live experience. Wow, that was amazing. And from there, I went to Costa Rica, and that's in my experience where I really shifted my perspective about life. I learned Spanish, I learned how to surf, and I absolutely fell in love, like just with that lifestyle. And so from that age, I knew that I always wanted to travel and be abroad, and that the Netherlands is too tiny to stay. And so I had a very big love for traveling, exploring, learning different languages. And so when I had to go back after 7 months through Latin America, back to the Netherlands, I was very sad, and I had a lot of grief.
Mm.
And from that moment on, I always looked for like kind of loopholes on how to make money and how to travel more and be abroad more. And it actually got me to a lot of very difficult decisions in life as well. Um, and
What, like, tell us.
well, I would say like you, if you want this kind of lifestyle, it's amazing, but there's always like a few sacrifices that you have to make.
Mm.
Um, and if you have friends at home and you have your family at home, that is maybe a sacrifice that you have to make, as in you won't see them that often. And then there's also the little bit of the conditioning that we have around safety and security, where people say like, oh, you need to study, you need to do this, you need to do that. And gross, right? So it is kind of like that fear around not having that,
Mm.
and then the decision towards saying, fuck it, what do I have to lose? That is a big sacrifice. And I think for a lot of people, that is a big transition in itself to make. But yeah, I from that moment I always did like jobs to save money. I didn't spend so much on going out. I rather wanted to go surfing abroad in France or go to other places such as Indonesia or Mexico. And I saved up, went there, enjoyed my time. But then I always ran out of money,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, I have to go back to hospitality jobs, work in a bar, work in a restaurant, and work long hours. And um, I'm not lying, like I did really enjoy working in a bar sometimes because you do have certain connections and that's amazing. But I feel like as you get older and older and you do like repeat that kind of work all the time, you just want to have something else as you feel like you are not being challenged. And so at some point I studied, and I studied because I have always wanted to do something for myself, entrepreneurship, and learn. And I have a big passion for hospitality, for creativity, and I love to give people an experience, to serve them in a way that makes them feel awesome. And that's the only part that I really enjoyed from hospitality and being a waiter, that I could just go the extra mile. And for example, if two guys would sit at a table and they ask me about the special beers, I would just like bring a whole, I would bring like 10 glasses of beer and give them like each single bit of a different type of beer. And the guys absolutely loved it so much, like this attention, and they were so happy, and they wanted my name, and they got like they got way more beer than they expected to drink. And that is really what always drives me, just that emotional connection that you can have with people, and just that excitement and just have fun. And that has always been with me. And that is something that I felt disconnected to with my travels over the last years, like just saving up money, travel. Surfing is awesome. You have an amazing lifestyle, you get to travel, but there's always something missing. And after 3 months of traveling, you're like, yeah, okay, this is awesome. I've drank coconuts, I'm surfing every day, and it's amazing. I have these connections, but I feel like I want to be challenged, or I feel like I want to do something that makes me feel fulfilled. And now we get to the point that after repeating my cycles of traveling and coming back, and actually the last 3 years I've been a surf instructor in France and repeating that cycle again and again. I came to last year November or October, and that's when I was introduced to this opportunity of working online, and yeah, to the whole opportunity with Enagic, which absolutely blew my mind. The whole thing around it, because I'm a very big fan around. I love sustainability. As you can tell, I'm very connected to water. Like I spend half of my life in the water, and I'm living always at the coast. I love surfing, and yeah, just understanding that there's way more to water than we know, and really diving into that really got me excited. And I think like what I've been looking for in my life is three things, and that's location, time, and financial freedom. Because you can have an awesome job and you can get very well paid, but it doesn't mean that you have time and location freedom. Um, you always like, you want to have the three to have actual freedom like you have right now. And I think this is definitely something that got me there. And yeah, that is a bit of a short story of how I got there. And now you want to know more about how I got into the van life and all that, right?
Yeah, I'd love to know. It's always been a dream of mine
Okay, cool.
to go in a van. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. All right. So it actually all started with my last internship in Portugal, and I got my very first car. I bought my car from the restaurant owner, from the restaurant I was working at the time in the Netherlands, in The Hague. And he literally like sold he threw like a picture of his car on our WhatsApp group, and he said 500 euros. I was like, what? 500 euros? And it was in a really good condition. I was like, okay, I didn't even think. I was like, I'm going to get this car no matter what. And I didn't even need a car at the time, but then I bought the car and I was like, oh, actually, I'm going on an internship to Portugal, so now I actually can use this car. And this is like the very first time when I drove to Portugal with all the boards on top. My car was filled up. It was a very tiny car. It was a Peugeot 0, no, 106, I think. a very tiny car. It's like a bump car. And I stashed the car, drove to first to France, and I brought a tent. So I was kind of into wild camping. So I parked the car. Like I remember one time I parked the car in the middle of a vineyard, and it was like a tree, and I parked it underneath a tree, and then like stayed next to the car just to not be, so that people won't notice. And then very early in the morning, I would get in the car and drive again. And it was a real awesome adventure. Like that was not official van life, but it felt like it. And from that moment, I realized how much I love that adventure, that sensation of freedom. And after Portugal, that's when I got my first surf instructor job in France. And then every year I would come back to France, I would have a better van. So I would go back to the Netherlands. I
Great.
sold upgrade. Like the second van that I had was kind of like the mailman car, kind of like weird, but you like throw a bed in there and it's like it almost looks like a Kangoo. I don't know if you know this car, but it's not an official van. It's like in between a car and a van. It's kind of like the car that they use to transport things like tiny boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So I converted that. And then 2 years ago, I got my Ford Transit. And that was a lot of fun because I actually got to really convert the van, put wood in there, insulate it, put a bed in there. How are you going to design it? And that was so much fun just doing that. I did not know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. I was watching YouTube videos for hours and trying to sort out how to do certain things. But you get creative and just doing that was a lot of fun. And then I got into the van life, did another season in France. And then last year, I started my business from the Netherlands. And actually, my business, I don't do it alone, as in I'm a distributor. Like you can become a distributor with Enagic and you can do that. But of course, like any other expertise, you want to have knowledge, you want to learn, and you want to well, there's like a lot to the Klangen water. There's science, there's sales, there's marketing, and all these things that you can learn. And therefore, we have a platform that is called the Breakaway Movement, and that's what I'm part of, which is also a community that is very conscious, like you and me. We're very busy, or like busy. We also adopt within our business consciousness, well-being, self-development, and that really changed my life. Like honestly, that changed my life because before I started with this business, I was not very conscious. I believe I had always something inside of me, some believing around certain things. But I think the information that I received, the people that I met within the community online, really unlocked something inside. And
I press.
continue. Cool. So the information that I received within the community and the people that I connected with really unlocked something inside of me. I got introduced to law of attraction. I got introduced to self-development, NLP, and a lot of things that really help you to focus rather on yourself in a way to empower yourself rather than looking at others, what others are doing. And that is something that absolutely, wow, this information changed my life. And we can go more in depth to that, but I will continue the story like how I went from there to Portugal. It's that I started my business actually in Amsterdam. That's when I started my investment. And then I drove from Amsterdam through France, which I absolutely love. That's just a big vibe going through the vineyards and
Nice.
beautiful places, stopping, having a croissant, and having a coffee and have a surf here, have a surf there. And I really love that freedom, that sensation. And I don't really need to have any people around me. Just being alone is amazing. As you always meet people on the road, which is fun. And yeah, then I went to Portugal and literally from my van, I built up my business. I built my business from my van, and that was a lot of fun. Like I was very focused on my goal towards building this business, but also towards health and self-development and also a bit of spirituality. And we all know 2020 was a real roller coaster, absolutely. And that's what I felt. But going through a roller coaster with my business, which absolutely entrepreneurship is a roller coaster in itself, but then also going through 2020 was like a double roller coaster. And I think that nothing in my whole life has transformed me so much as in this last year. Amazing. Like, I think entrepreneurship is so good for transformation because you learn how to deal with rejections. That is something,
I feel you.
wow,
Oh, so painful. I hate
so painful,
rejection.
but
Oh,
oh,
that's definitely a core wound of mine. Like rejection is like, oh, I actually learned EFT tapping for myself, and now I teach it with clients. And one of my first ever EFT tapping was, even though I'm afraid of rejection, I love and appreciate myself. And I was like tapping all over. But I remember I would come out crying when I do like an intro call, like at the beginning of my work, and they'd be like, "No, sorry, I don't want to work with you," or they wouldn't say that, but they'd be like, "Oh, I don't have the money," or whatever. And oh my god, that I still like, I don't really get so much anymore, but obviously it comes in waves. You're always going to get rejected at some point. But yeah, that's I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's definitely not a nice part of the entrepreneurial journey. um but yeah, what do you feel has, is there anyone particular that's inspired you as a coach or mentor, like because I really believe that when we have someone that can see our own potential and we don't see it, like I know for me it was my partner George. He literally saw this potential within me, and I had no idea I even had it because I just hadn't been in the environment that provoked that growth. So was any particular person, or is it just the community of the Klangen community that really changed that for you and obviously helped you evolve your consciousness in some way? um, yeah, who saw your potential? I'd love to know.
yeah. So what I really love about our community is that when you sign up in our community, you are directed to a mentor, but you also have a coach. And the coach is someone who is successful with Enagic, with the business, with Klangen Water. And so, if you step in that place and you're completely newbie, and you get in touch with somebody successful, but also somebody that you really connect well with, like really vibe with, that was for me something that helped me a lot. And her name is Chloe. And I remember our first Zoom call. I had to wake up at 6 to get on the call, but I was very dedicated and committed because I felt like so much inside that this is what I wanted. So it didn't matter what time it was, I would be there. And I prepared my questions and everything. And then that was a coach call. And she was just somewhere in California where the sun is on and just vibing with tropical weather and palm trees on the background. And that was my coach call with her. And she told me the first time about law of attraction and Abraham Hicks, and that her success is not just because of that, but that is definitely something that really helped her. And of course, just the understanding that that brought her success, and that she's um, so enthusiastic about that, triggered something in me to just look into it. And that is the first time when I watched a video. I think the first one was from Abraham Hicks, just one of her guest lectures. And the first time I heard that, I had like, my whole body was just like, whoa, this is truth. Like, oh my God, what is this woman talking about? She says exactly what I thought my whole life, but nobody taught me anything about it. My parents are not busy with that. My brother, my sister, they don't focus on that stuff. And my friends neither. And this is the first time I was really like, my whole body was kind of shivering. I was just like, I felt this sort of like somebody was breathing in my neck, and I felt this, like, it felt really good. And I was like, wow, this information about what you attract, like what you are is what you attract. And about feeling good and attracting that in your life. And that then I had this real big epiphany, like, hey, if you just look back at situations and you look like, how do you deal with those situations? Were you positive or were you negative? What's the effect on your whole life doing that? And that is like really what got me more into Abraham Hicks. I bought her book, The Law of Attraction.
Yeah.
I watched that movie, The Secret.
Yes, I've done that one.
Yes, it's not a really good, like, it's a good beginning, I would say, but it's I would say it's not the essential of what it really, how it works. But um and then so many more things came on my path. Like, we had community calls and people talk about health, about food, about salary dues, about medical medium, and just seeing people that are in such a good space with themselves, being positive and really committing and dedicated towards health, and working on themselves, but also giving, like coming from a place of abundance, like really sharing all that information that can help anyone within the group as a collective. That is something that I really felt, and I wanted to be part of that. And that really got me into focusing on myself. And then from that day, I got into podcasts. I read books every day and had such a laser focus on improving myself, because I could see the results with other people who were doing that. And not just in business wise, because business wise, yes, they are doing very, very well. And they do have that life with a time, financial, and location freedom. But more important, they're just, their mental health is just on point. And that is something I wanted to be part of. So yeah, so Chloe was one of my coaches, and then just being part of a bigger team that have people who are all focusing on that really got me on that same wavelength.
Yeah.
And that really, yeah, it's kind of like, like you're a fish and or frog, and there's like a streamline of fish, and it just all going with that flow, and you're kind of like on the edge, and you decide to jump in and go all the way with them, and you go with that stream of goodness. And that's how it felt.
I love that. Yeah. I think as well, you have to practice what you preach. Like for me, I know when I'm not fully in alignment, and maybe I'm in the past, if I haven't been fully physically or emotionally in balance, I know that affects my work in terms of I don't feel as authentic, preaching what I'm practicing what I'm preaching if I'm not doing my practices and my self-care routines. And life, the universe shows me that with my abundance, and I know when I'm on top of my game and I'm fully in alignment in all areas, my relationship, my health, my finances, that level of magnetism is just having that ripple effect, and not just on finances but in all areas of your life. And you are is it your vibe attracts your tribe. I really love that quote.
Yeah, and I can absolutely see it just from the people that I attract. Like, since I changed myself, I attract different people. We just bumped into the beach, just like fat walking our dogs, and that is what's happening to me every time I bump into somebody that is almost almost on the same wavelength. Like you just feel like
Yeah, it's just like energy, isn't it? And I remember just seeing you, and I was like, I just need to go speak to that guy. I was like, my intuition was like, he seems cool, you know. And I feel like that in myself, like really gravitating to people that are similar on that similar energy. And for those of you listening, like it's like when you're in a room and there's like just someone that makes you feel like you know, makes you feel good in the room. It's like that sunshine. I think I get that a lot in my life as well. And I try to be that person for not even try, it's kind of more ingrained in my, I guess, DNA, I think naturally. And you too. So some people have just got that extrovert kind of energy that people are drawn to. But yeah, I would love to know a little bit more about the water, kind of like, because I know in my work and my clients, like pretty much 80% of people are chronically dehydrated. And obviously, our body makes, I think, is made up of 70% water. So, water is a huge part of us being in alignment, health, you know, health wise, physically, mentally, emotionally. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what the benefits of Klangen water is and why it is so powerful, and really, yeah, kind of educate people on this incredible system. And the way that it's going to hopefully have a ripple effect on the world in the future.
literally with water.
H2O, baby. We
H2O.
drink water, let the motherfuckers burn.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So, Kangen water, it's originally, well, Kangen water is basically just a brand name. So, if you want to dive more into what this type of water is, it's electrolyzed reduced water. That's the correct term of the water. The brand itself, it's Kangen, and it's a name that comes from the company called Enagic. And what Klangen means, it's back to the origin in Japanese. And so to give you a little bit more understanding about water, because this is super interesting. So there is a Japanese water scientist. I can't recall his name, but I can get back to it later. Um, he found that water has memory and water is influenced by its entire environment. And so what they used to do is they used to, or they still like, they take different samples of water from different environments. So they would take it, for example, from a waterfall in Venezuela, or they would take it from a very like um, rare place in the middle of India, or they would take it from tap water, or they would take it from a river, whatever. And they would compare the different waters and the structure of the water. And they could really see that just the shape of the water would be different. So they actually could see that the water that would come from waterfalls, that would be exposed to sunlight, out in nature, going over mineral stones, that this kind of water literally looks like a beautiful, perfect snowflake, just beautiful. And then, for example, you would have tap water that would be completely like ruined and it would be dead. And so they found that there's like almost no frequency hold in tap water. And so the conclusion from that is that tap water is pretty much dead because water holds memory, and even like if it's being like stored, it's going through pipes, and it's not flowing. Water needs to flow. Water naturally flows. It goes from the mountains down to the river, all the way to the ocean, goes back up, and through the clouds it's being back transported to the mountains. And so we have the circulation, but we actually abuse the water. And so what is happening with Kangen water? It's that Kangen water is basically like an electrical strike, a lightning strike on a river. And what that does, it blows the molecules apart. And through this transformation of electrolysis, um, the molecules become smaller, and the free radicals I'm not sure if I say it correctly, but through this transformation, you will have high amounts of antioxidants, and so the molecules are smaller. And there's, in addition to that, also it affects the pH levels, which is something that is very important within our bodies because um, we are exposed to so much acidity in our life through exercise, through stress, through pollution, through the foods that we eat. Very important. Um, we our bodies tend to be in a very acidic state, and also, as you said, like a lot of people are dehydrated, and common water is actually like the optimal form of water because as you drink it, you have active water, so water that's alive. You have water with high antioxidants. Um, it is hydrogen rich, which means that the molecules are very small, so they're easier to travel through your body and your intestines, so you hydrate faster and more effectively. And your pH is higher, so to balance out the acidity in your body. And that is basically what common water is in a very short
Nutshell.
story, in a nutshell. But there's way more to the machine. Um, so through the electrolysis, you also have different options on the machine, and you can select different pH levels, which is super interesting. So um, what you, for example, can do is when I drink common water, I drink 9.5. And what you should understand is that Klangen water is not alkaline water, it is alkalized. So that means that through the process of electrolysis, that's when you have the transformation in molecules, and this is why there is an alteration in pH. But when we talk about alkaline water, this is actually not good because the transformation is being pushed through sodium and chemicals, and your body does not react to that in a good way. So alkaline and alkalized is very different. So that is something that I need to express.
Disclaimer.
But yeah, so you have different options. So you can have, for example, 11.5, that's highly alkaline. And if you think of that, you can think of things like bleach. But what got me very interested is the fact that because of this process, the molecules become very small, right? So if the molecules are very, like, they come in big groups, it is like almost like you have a net, a football net, and you shoot with it. You try to make a goal with a football, or it stays in the net, right? But if you're now going to shoot with golf balls, it just goes through. And that is the same with gong water. So the molecules are like that. They come in smaller groups, and because also the transformation and all the properties of that water, you can actually with a high alkaline or like high pH, you can actually run through oils. So for example, what I really, really love about the Kangen water is that you can wash your veggies and your fruits with just using water. So most of the fruits and veggies are full of pesticides. So if you want to remove them, you can wash it with your water from the tap, but nothing really happens because they put oil-based pesticides on it for a reason, and that's because when it rains outside, it won't come up. So your tap water won't do anything. And so now you use like this transformed water, it will run through the oils and it strips off all the pesticides, which is amazing. So I've been using that a lot in the Netherlands, and now actually my mom has the machine, so she's enjoying that, as we have a lot of pesticides in the Netherlands on our veggies and fruits, which is absolutely a big shame. Um, but yeah, this is a solution. And then, for example, what I also love is as being sustainable, I just love to bring my water everywhere. I have my own water bottle. So I never tend to use water from a plastic bottle unless I really have to and there's no other way.
Yeah.
But as you think of it, you will reduce your plastic consumption, your plastic waste, and that is amazing. And it's also good to do that as you can inspire other people to just buy a bottle because it's so easy to do. You get a beautiful bottle for just 20 bucks and you help yourself and the world already big time. So that is
I
another
love,
thing.
I love that
And
you're saying, like, I've heard this saying that's like people are born alkaline and they die acidic. And throughout our life, it's a big part of like my work is helping people come back into balance and alkalinity, and remove those toxins. Like you said, the free radicals, they are cancer causing. The carcinogenics that we eat from meat and from other forms, and really that free radicals are going in your body, and that's creating dis-ease. So through using like Klangen water, you can actually reverse kind of that process and start to alkaline your body, or your pH, to be in a more harmonious environment, which I think is so powerful. How can people find more about Klangen water? Like, is there obviously you're going to maybe send me a link and they can connect with you if they want to get a machine or learn about how to be a part of the community. Maybe you can share a little bit about that.
absolutely. So you can connect with me through Instagram. I'm always available with just shoot me a DM and I'll try my best to get to you. So that's Flying Flint.
Mhm.
That is my Instagram name. And then if you don't find that, you can also go to flyingflint.com. And that's my website. And that's where you can connect with me as well. And yeah,
And
I'm also on YouTube, but I'm not yet talking about Klangen water. It's more about Bali and about being a digital nomad. So I'm going to make videos about how to do it and the mindset. So if you're keen and you love YouTube, go give me a subscribe there.
yeah, definitely check it out. And before you go, is what do you think this online business, this this passion, this Dharma journey has given you? Like, how has it really transformed you as a person? And do you feel like it's a continuous development of your growth, um, doing something you love and being on your Dharma journey? For those of you listening that are maybe not yet found their purpose, and they're not yet found that thing that lights them up, like we have
Yeah,
experienced, how much does it change your life? um,
I would say just the business and that just spiritual awakening that I talked about from the beginning when I started with my community. That was like an airplane taking off and really going full into it. And now I'm like flying and learning every day and doing a little bit step by step more. And I think it's a continuous evolution. I learn stuff every day. I do different stuff every day. This is the first time on a podcast, guys. So that's so awesome. So this is a new experience. And I really live now from what really shifted my whole perspective is that when I started to see that, for example, failing doesn't exist, that failing is a condition that we grew up with, that failing is something like having a bad grade or whatever is a bad thing, it's actually a really good thing. It's a blessing because if you do not fail, you also don't learn. And this is something that changed my perspective. Just see everything as a learning process, see every obstacle as a challenge, but also an opportunity to learn something new, do different stuff that's absolutely outside of your comfort zone. This is my first time on a podcast, guys. So this is the first time I'm doing this. And it excites me. You just get new experiences. And I think in general, that is what life is about. We are here to experience this beautiful life. And if you stay in the same spot, if you do the same things and you repeat that same cycle, you are doing yourself a very big disfavor. Is that what you say?
yeah, disservice. Yeah, disfavor. Disservice.
Disservice, exactly. Because there's so much to learn, there's so much to explore. And I think that if you have have the opportunity to remove yourself from a place and to maybe bring your business or build from anywhere around the world. You can even like build your business from home. And if you like to stay at home, that's fine. But give yourself the opportunity to get that freedom to go wherever you want, to go on a vacation if you need to, or, you know, don't stay stuck in the same routine for your whole life, because that is, you're just missing out. And I think maybe what most of us fear is the what if, but what if everything goes right, you know? And you just, I feel, I honestly like believe that we are all like in some way in a bubble, and if you want to expand, you have to go over the edge. And I feel that sometimes, even if it feels like a big risk, you have to just take that risk, because if you don't take that risk, you will never know. And I think that not knowing, it's way more painful than being in your comfort zone and just stay there and yeah, everything is so comfortable. So my big tip for you is, if you are listening and you have something inside yourself that says, hey, I want more to life, do it.
Hell yeah.
Go do it. Do it. Take a risk. Take a risk, because you have honestly nothing to lose. We have this life, and you know, tomorrow you can get hit by a bus and you can work your ass off all day, and you can do those 10 hours in something that you don't want to do, and you can fill the pockets of your boss. And you know, that's not what we're here for. We're here to experience, to enjoy, and to learn more about who we are, and maybe also how we can serve other people in a way, because I also do feel that we are here in a way to help each other grow.
For sure. Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is the key.
That's the Dharma journey motto, is really like my mission is really to just invite different kinds of people, different ages, different places, and really I know someone listening will be like, oh my god, I never heard of Klangen water, like that could be incredible, and they're gonna reach out to you and then jump on your community. And that's the Dharma journey. It's the ripple effect, and it's like through you being passionate and inspiring people through your own embodiment. And obviously you're super healthy, you're I think what, 28, living the dream life in Bali, like hell yeah. Like so many people I know want to do it, but they just, that fear of the unknown is just too much. And I know how scary it is to travel different places and move and do the different things, but it's really, that's the growth, that's really the magic is in the work that you're avoiding. So thank you so much, Duco. I've loved having you on and hearing a bit about your journey, and yeah, I can't wait to connect soon. When you come back to Canggu, let me know, we'll hang out.
Absolutely. Can I finish it with a little analogy that finishes up like very
Of
nicely?
course, go wild.
So that journey that you're talking about, the way I see it, is like a road trip. So if you have something that you really, really want in life, what you need is a destination, a goal. And so when you do a road trip, for example, you go from Amsterdam to Portugal to Lisbon, that's your road trip. You know you're going to Portugal because you know that in Portugal you get to surf, see new places, try new food, and this is the place you've been always been dreaming about. And so you get in the car, you prepared your whole van, maybe you even converted it. Now you get on the road. And when you're on the road, you don't really want to know what's going to happen in between your road trip, because that's the juicy part, guys. That is the juicy part. Like whatever happens on the road is the part you don't want to plan out. You go with it. And if you have a flat tire, so be it. If you have a flat tire in the middle of France, are you going to go home? Nope. I think that's a very small issue that you just have to solve. You just have little issues on your path, and some are bigger than the others, but you still want to go to Portugal because that's where you want to go. That's the epic spot. That's where everything happens. That's the place where you've been dreaming of. And fun thing is that what I thought about yesterday is that, let's say you are the driver and you have two kids in the back of your car. Now, let's say that these kids are your thoughts where you wake up to in the morning. So one kid is whining all the time, like, hey, when are we there yet? When are we there yet? And the other one is like, oh, I want to go home. I want to go home. This is exactly what you wake up to. This is why I do meditation, guys, because you sort of have to be in control of the driver's seat and you want to silence the kids and give them peace. And that is what happens a lot with entrepreneurships and thoughts and also the fear that we have inside. It is, in the end, us being the driver, teaching our kids how to behave and to enjoy the ride. And that's what we do with our thoughts as well. So everybody get on the road, enjoy the ride, have fun, and see every little obstacle as a huge opportunity for growth. And you will get there. If you really want to go somewhere, easy peasy, you'll go there.
It's funny. When I was, I think, maybe 5 years ago, I went on a road trip. I was traveling around Vietnam and Southeast Asia for like 6 months by myself, and I met this Dutch guy called Thijs, and we had a little romance. And I met him in Vietnam, and we traveled on a Honda Win motorbike from Ho Chi Minh all the way to Hoi An or Hanoi, which is the top of Vietnam. It took us like a couple of months. And I didn't know this guy, like I had no clue, but I was like, I want to go on a road trip and I really want somebody else to drive. So I was like, I'll just be the passenger, but I'm going on the road trip. And many people thought it was quite crazy, but we actually had the most incredible time. So really just going with the flow is the way that we connect to ourselves and try not to control everything, because life cannot be controlled, and you really need to just trust that there's something greater guiding you to the people, to the places, to the environments that are going to connect you to your mission, your purpose, which is going to bring us the most fulfillment, I believe.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Duco. I'll put all your links in the show notes so people can connect with you and they can check out your journey. And I'm sure some of the ladies will be like, oh, he's so cute, So maybe we can ask, what's your star sign for the lovely ladies that obviously may want to check you out, and single Duco.
My star sign? My
I reckon Sagittarius. Are you Sagittarius?
No.
No?
You want to guess one more time?
Okay, one more time. Taurus?
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, you're a Pisces. Oh, okay. I know the girls would love that. They'll be like, what star sign is he? All my witchy girlfriends that love looking at star signs. So you're a Pisces. My dad's a Pisces, actually. He's a wanderer man too.
Yeah, I'm a Pisces, but I had a reading and they said that I'm Aries rising, and that is what the people perceive me to be. A bit more fiery.
Yeah.
I'm a bit hard, and I can be very emotional.
Oh, that's great though. I think that's why I wanted to bring you on. I think it's great to see men that are connected to themselves, and they don't have to put on this hard front, like, oh, I'm not emotional. I think it's beautiful to be in touch with our emotions. So yeah, it's really, I'm sure a lot of the women are like, oh my God, a conscious guy, thank you so much. So yeah, thank you so much for
It's gonna be fun. So if you guys are listening, you want to reach out, feel free, no worries. There's no judgment at all. Just reach out and I'm happy to assist.
Yeah, sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being on the Dharma journey. And
yes.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you want to connect with us, my Instagram is @BriarRoots, @the Dharma Journey. Please feel free to send us your favorite episode, and we'd love to hear your feedback. If you want to reach and connect with me further, I offer weekly women circles every Sunday. Also, Ayurvedic healing programs, consultations. So all of my details are at the bottom. Thank you so much for listening. This is really a part of the Dharma Journey movement to bring us closer together, connection, community, collaboration, and really inspire one another on our path towards liberation. Thank you so much for listening. Have an incredible day. I hope.